Hello everyone. It has been a minute. So I haven't been on here for like 2.5 years-ish. A lot happened in my life. I stopped YouTube when I was in my last year of university. I was in a huge reading slump and I was also really busy with university. So that happened. I graduated, which is great. I also got married. So that was a big change. And we got a dog. So you'll see her if she appears. She's very nosy. So you'll see her a lot. Her name is Lexi. And I started like my first official big girl job when I graduated school. So I do work with that. So I will be uploading when I feel like uploading. And yeah, as long as I just want this to be fun for me and a hobby and something to get me out of my comfort zone and also like share my thoughts on books because not all my friends read the same books as I do. So that's why I love this community so much. But the goal of this reading vlog is to find a 5-star read and dip my toes back into YouTube because I have not had a 5-star read since end of March, and I've only had 3 5-star reads this year. So I'm wanting to increase that. My goal coming into this year so that I didn't fall into a reading slump was to focus more on quality rather than quantity because I don't want to fall back into a 2-year reading slump. So I am in line with my Goodreads goal, which is 60 books, but I honestly am not pressuring myself. But this month I have been reading like insane in the membrane reading. I have already read 6 books and it's not even halfway through the month. I am participating in the Romantasy-a-thon that is hosted by Tori Between the Pages. So I'm participating in that for June and July. So I've been reading a lot of romantasy, which is great escapism. However, I've only ever encountered a handful, maybe not even a handful, of romantasy books that are 5-star reads. So I am gonna probably read a few or one romantasy book in this vlog, but otherwise I'm focused on books that are going to be 5-star reads. And that is when this vlog is going to end, is when I hit a 5-star read. However, majority of 5 stars are chunky books for me. So it might take, I don't know how long this vlog is going to take me, but it takes me a bit to get through chunky books. I just started yesterday Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. This is the sequel to Godkiller. And I really enjoyed Godkiller last year. I read it in fall and I gave it 4 stars or 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was like a cozy, low fantasy that was like super unique. The characters were really funny. They had a lot of growth, which I loved. And then the plot was just like easy to follow. But essentially you're in this world where people worship gods, but now it is illegal to worship gods. So they have what are called god killers, which is our main character, Kissin, and she's basically on a mission to kill gods. And then she encounters this character named Inara, who's essentially orphaned, and she has in her little pocket a tiny little god that's like linked to her. And so they go on a mission to try and figure out how to separate them. And then we also encounter another character named Elagast, who is a baker former soldier, and he's on his own mission to complete a mission for a friend. So they all encounter each other and go on this little quest. It was really cute, the first book. It ended kind of on like a somber note. I don't want to say, I'm obviously not going to say anything because it's spoilers, but therefore this book is starting out in kind of like a depressive place or like a stagnant place of being like, they kind of don't really know where to go from here. And so I'm having a harder time getting into it. I think I'm only 40 pages in because I just started it yesterday. I'm hoping to get this done. I really do hope that it lives up to like my expectations because the first book was so good. And then I'm also in the middle of an audiobook, and that is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley, I forget her last name. I think it's Winstead. I tried to complete this about 2 years ago and I just found the characters super unlikable. I think it's on purpose. So that's why I think the audiobook is better than reading it physically, because I did try and read it physically to start with. I am getting through that. I'm about halfway through and it's okay. It's just like a thriller, a whodunit thriller about a murder that occurred in college, and then it flashes forward 10 years where the group of friends is returning to a 10-year reunion, and they're now figuring out like who murdered their friend. It's fine, but it's also like, I want a book where I'm enjoying the characters, you know? Even though the purpose of that book, I think, is to hate the characters because they're not the greatest. And then I also just got the audiobook for Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia to Fairies. This one is a cozy fantasy. I feel like I haven't read a cozy fantasy in a while, and so I actually want to do an immersive read for this because I do feel like it does have 5-star potential for me. So I'm waiting for my library to get in a physical copy. I put a hold on it, so it should be in the next few days. Now, the next book that I'm like, the one that I don't know that I'm gonna read for 5-star potential, that's like a physical book or an ebook from my Kindle, is The Will of the Many. I've heard really, really good things. I don't really know what it's about because I want to keep it that way, but I've heard really good reviews. The other one that will also help me in the Romanticathon that I've heard really good things about is Blood and Steel by Helen Scher. So that is also 5-star potential. Another one that I do need to complete in June is Beneath Black Sails by Claire Sager. I did just read the prequel to this and I didn't really like it, so I'm a little bit nervous that I'm not gonna like the first book in the series. So that's a book club pick for the Who Did This To You book club that I follow. And then the other one that I've been craving to read more of is Jay Kristoff, and that's Nevernight, because I just finished my last 5-star read was Empire of the Damned by him. Ugh, the Empire of the Vampire series is just like unparalleled. Like, it's just so amazing. And so I've been craving like his dark humor, his world, and so I've never read Nevernight, and I feel like because I loved Empire of the Vampire the two so far, that I think that I would really enjoy the Nevernight Chronicles. So that is another potential. Those are kind of the ones that are calling out to me right now because, like I said, I'm in a huge mood reading mood. It will be a to be determined on what I pick up physically next, because I have not read a physical book just itself without like doing an immersive read in so long. I feel like I've only done probably 3 actual physical books this whole entire year because I've just been on an audiobook, ebook, and immersive reading kick. I feel like it's taking me a while to just be like, okay, and I'm going to sit in silence and read these words all by myself without any help from an audiobook. I feel like it's gonna take me a while to get through this. However, we're going camping for 4 days. That will force me to read. I'm hoping to get a lot of reading done there. And I will check in with you guys when I have more of an update. I did finish a book, and that was Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. and I ended up giving this a 3.5 star. I still really enjoyed it, but I do prefer the first one because it's just very different in this book. So the first one, it's kind of like quest-like, found family, lots of banter, whereas this one, very much a second book. It doesn't have second book syndrome because it's still, there's a lot going on, but it's just, it follows directly the fallout of the first book. So it did get me, I would say, about 60, 70 pages to get really back into it because the dynamic was just so different. I still love her writing. It's very atmospheric. The relationships are a lot different in this book compared to the first book. And the one thing that I did find in this one was that I got a bit of like a whiplash when it came to the plot, because there would be a plot shift or like something that they encounter that kind of puts a wrench in it, and instead of like building up to a solution, it's like, oh, all of a sudden fixed, you know? So I like seeing that, those kind of in-between moments, but I do understand this is just under 400 pages, so like I would have preferred it to be an extra 50 pages just to fill in those in-between points. You do get a lot more interaction with the gods in this book, which is really nice, but that's pretty much all I can say without spoilers. So 3.5 stars, still on the hunt for a 5-star. I am over 50% of the way through In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and it's okay. It's definitely not going to be 5 stars. I am intrigued, but I'm definitely not captivated by it, but I'll just finish it on one of my walks. I did end up getting Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, so I will start this probably today or tomorrow, sometime this week. I did start Blood and Steel by Helen Scher, and her writing just initially captivated me. It wasn't even the plot, the world, or anything. It was just how she writes. I've never read anything by her, and instantly I was hooked. I really am enjoying it so far. I think I'm about 15% of the way through it. Wilder, so we just got introduced to Wilder Hawthorne, and he is kind of a dink, at least right now. But I've heard from other sources that he turns out to be like their favorite male character or male crush. So I'm waiting for that moment. But right now he's not my favorite person. So basically Blood and Steel is following a world where this prophecy occurred, where they're saying that women cannot hold blades. Otherwise, if they do, there's the potential for darkness to come. And there's talk of monsters kind of impeding the realm, but we haven't seen them yet, but that's what basically like these head of the guilds fight for, and that's what Wilder is. I forget what they're called, warlords or something like that, where they're like very high at the top rank fighters or guardians of this realm, and women are not allowed to hold blades, they're not allowed to fight, but they used to be part of the guardians. So it's a big shift, and our main character Thea, she is very much rebellious and all she wanted to do is be a guardian, but she ends up getting caught with a blade, and she's not supposed to carry a blade because of the risk of bringing the darkness in. So then that's where Wilder and her kind of interact, and that's as far as I'm at, and that's kind of like the synopsis. I'm assuming. I actually went into this book completely blind, knowing nothing. But I will do more of an update when I get more reading done. Okay, I apologize if you can hear my dishwasher in the background, but I have some reading updates. So I finished listening to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and I think this is definitely a me issue because I went on Goodreads when I finished the book to put in my star rating, and so many people put 5 star, 5 star, 5 star. This is the most like best thriller I've ever read. And then there's some 4 stars. There was barely any 3 stars. And I was like, am I wrong in this? You know? So I can like objectively say that yes, it's a decent book if you're in the mood for shitty characters, which I'm not. I'm in the mood to love characters. And I think that's why I'm not in a thriller mood right now, is because I find them boring. I want to be entranced by something new and exciting and provide some escapism in a new world and just, you know? So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. Or 3 stars. I was feeling 2, but then I thought that was mean, so I did 3. Anyways, moving on to bigger and better things. I did start Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia to Fairies, and I don't even know how far. I think I'm like 135 pages into it. And it honestly took me probably the first 80 pages to actually get into it, which surprises me because I really like cozy fantasy, but I was also thinking back and I've never actually given a cozy fantasy 5 stars. They've all been around the 4-star mark. However, it is getting a little bit more plot driven and I am starting to like the main character more. I did find her a little hard to connect with at the beginning, but she's kind of growing on me, so I'm excited about that. I don't know if this has 5-star potential, but we shall see. I feel like it could if I really got sucked into the world, but right now I'm just like meh. And I feel like it's because of the next read, and that is because Blood and Steel has like taken over my soul. Like I'm having such a good time. I'm just over the 50% mark and it's so much fun. It has been so long since I've been sucked into a book like this, and all I want to do is eat, sleep, and breathe this book. Like literally while I'm at work, I'm thinking about going home and reading this book because it's so much fun. And I love the characters. I love that it's not just like about, because this is a romantasy, I love that we do have that independence of the characters and we're following Thea majority of the time, and she's just working towards her goal of becoming a warrior. And so we're kind of actually getting a found family aspect now, which is awesome. I love found family stuff. So yeah, I just love this book, and I think that this could be 5-star. There's one aspect of it that I'm like, it's giving a little bit, she's getting away with things a little too easily, but I'm still having such a good time. Like I'm willing to like look past that and just totally go with how I'm feeling in the book. So yeah, that's my reading update. I will update you guys when I get more reading done and when I finish one of the books. I don't know which one, but if I do finish one of these, could be a 5-star, fingers crossed, because I don't know how long this vlog is actually gonna last. You guys will know because you'll know the timestamp, but I don't know how long it's gonna last. But yeah, I'm just having such a good time reading, and I will check in with you guys later. I have reading updates. So I ended up finishing Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Emily Fawcett, and I am so disappointed that I didn't like the book. It's definitely not the author's fault. I think it's very well written. I just thought I was gonna love it and I didn't. And I mean, I gave it 3 stars. So it's a decent book, but it's not for me. And that made me really sad because I've heard really good things. A lot of people love this, but I won't be continuing on in this world. I think my issue basically was the fact that the beginning, this is why I had a hard time getting into it, is because it was very wordy and there was like footnotes, and I hate footnotes in books. The one thing that I did like about this though is all the fairy lore that it had. I found that really interesting. I just overall didn't really care. I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't connect with the plot, the storyline, or anything. So yeah, 3 stars, very disappointing. So not a 5-star. Last night, I just finished Blood and Steel by Helen Scher, and it was so close to a 5-star. I gave it a 4.5, mainly because the first 60% of the book, I was obsessed, like could not put it down. I was having the best time. And then things started happening. Like I loved the first 60% because it was slower, which I actually think people may have an issue with, but I quite liked it. It's very much a training academy following Thea mainly. It is dual perspective. However, you only get a few chapters of Wilder because it is mainly following Thea's journey. And it does make sense the way that that's set up. And I'm hoping that future books will have more of Wilder's perspective. But the thing that bothered me after the 60% mark is, yes, like the first 60% is the buildup. However, the execution was like bam, 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 like really fast. And I was like, kind of felt like I was going like this way and that way. And I was like, oh, okay, now this is happening. And so I wanted it to be a little bit more fleshed out. And yeah, I want to talk about this one trope, but I can't because it's very spoilery, but it drives me nuts when I see this trope. I don't like it because it's overdone. This is also a book that is very much has been done before. It's just very gripping. The writing is great. Not that this has been, sorry, I'm gonna backtrack. Not that this has been done before, but there are aspects of this that's like, oh, that's Divergent, or oh, that's Hunger Games, or oh, that's from like Red Queen. There are definitely tropes and storylines that make it a little bit more predictable, which isn't a bad thing at all, as long as it's executed properly. And I think that it was just that last 40%, I liked it. I enjoyed the ride, but it didn't get that 5-star. And a 5-star, I need to have that feeling that I had for the first 60% throughout the entirety of the book. At least for like 80 to 90% of the book, I need to feel that way to get a 5-star. So on we go looking for that 5-star. And I always have an audiobook on the go because I go on walks with Lexi. So I always have one, and I just got one from my library. I actually have the physical copy. So I borrowed Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I have a lot of Ruth Ware books. I have 5, and I've never read one. And I really want to chop down on my physical TBR, so I'm doing it through my library via ebooks, especially when it comes to thrillers. When I looked on Goodreads, and just from what I've heard from people, is I've heard that this is one of Ruth Ware's best. I wasn't expecting this to be a 5-star. I wasn't expecting to talk about it in this vlog. However, I'm 60 pages into it, or 15% of the way, and I'm actually quite intrigued by this storyline. It's a girl named Rowan who's a nanny, a live-in nanny, and one of the children that she's looking after dies. That's like the start of it, because it starts off with her in prison because she's accused of murdering this child, and she's basically saying that she didn't do it, and she's writing a letter to this person. I don't really know why. I kind of missed that part. I tuned out on that part, so that's probably important. But I think it has something to do with like her appealing the verdict and to get him to represent her or something like that. So it's flashing back to when she first applied for this position and got hired. And there's something interesting about the place that's hired her, like the grounds that the house is on, because it's alluding to like being haunted or something like that. So I'm intrigued, and I actually really like the writing, so I am gonna put this in this vlog because I feel like this will be a surprising if it's 5-star, which I haven't given a thriller 5-star in I don't know how long. Like I don't remember the 5-star, my last 5-star thriller. I'm gonna include it with this. This clip may be cut. The next book that I'm gonna physically read is The Will of the Many. I know for a fact this is gonna be a 5-star read. It's chunky, but it's in my ebook, so it's actually not that chunky because it's only this thick. It's just mentally I know that it's chunky because I always hide the progress and page count so that that's something I focus on too much if it's constantly there. I only check it like every hour, so if I have it constantly there, it just makes me feel like I'm not reading that fast, and it just like feels more daunting. So I am gonna pick up that book. I have no idea what this is about. I know that it has some sort of school aspect, but I have no clue what this book is about. So I am going to manifest that this is going to be a 5-star because I have seen so many people that I have very similar reading tastes in. They love it, and they said it's like their best book of the year. So I'm going to pick that up, and I will let you guys know when I make more progress in it. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. The AC is running in the back, and I'm hot, so I'm not turning it off. I just wanted to give an update on The Will of the Many by James Islington, and I am really enjoying it. I gave an update around the 40% mark, but I did a really crappy job at giving a synopsis because I went into too much detail, and I really think that all you need to know going into this book is that this orphan named Vis gets this opportunity to go to an academy, but he's sent there as a spy to find something. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I feel I'm just over the 50% mark now, and I feel like there's a ton of twists and turns about to come. I just had 2 of them, and one of them like blew my mind. I am trying to make connections with like future predictions, but I'm also just trying to live in the moment. The writing is really, really good. It does give me a little bit of what I felt when reading the Greenbone Saga, which is so refreshing. I finished the Greenbone Saga last summer, and I loved it. Like, it made me cry, the last book. It was amazing. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much how they wrapped up the series. And this book is giving me that. It's giving me those feelings of just being so immersed in the world, but also feeling challenged when reading the book, because I feel like there's so much to learn and so much political intrigue, because that's what the Greenbone Saga had in it that I honestly haven't experienced in quite a while, is that political intrigue, really immersive learning of the world, and it just captivates you. And I will say that this book is a little bit slow to start, which doesn't bother me at all. So it's split into 3 parts, and the first part takes about 40% of the book. And then for the 40%, I'm still in part 2. So I'm just over 50% of the way, and I'm still in part 2. So yeah, I am really excited. I heard there's a ton of twists near the end, and the way that it ends make people want to like immediately go into book 2, but that's not coming out till 2025. So yes, wish me luck. Okay, it feels like it's been forever since I've updated this vlog. I actually finished The Will of the Many a few days ago because I was in Nanaimo, and then I was home for a day, and then I went camping. So I have not had time to update, but I'm happy to say that it was a 5 out of 5 stars. And I was gonna update at like the 85% mark, but I was at my brother's place in Nanaimo, so I didn't want to. But my thoughts at the 85% mark was that it was sitting at like a 4 to 4.25 star, and how the following 15% definitely would have determined whether it was a 5 star, and it did. The ending was phenomenal. I'm obviously not going to say anything about it, and I would have been like so mind blown and loved it so much more if I wasn't slightly spoiled from someone else's non-spoiler review, because they did say something in the end that I was like, oh, well, that's a spoiler. Like, you didn't go into too many details, but you did say an event that occurred. And yeah, so that kind of sucks. So people who give reviews on this book, please be as vague as possible, because I'm not going to go into too much detail. I do feel like I still need more from the world, and I'm okay with that, because I feel like this portion of the series was very much a learning experience for both the main character and the reader. And I feel like it's going to dive more into the political aspect and the magical aspect of will and imbuing in the following books. So I'm totally okay with that. I loved the writing. And what I really respected in the last 15% was that it did not feel rushed at all. Like, it was so well paced. And I find that a lot of authors actually struggle with that, because I feel like the last 100 pages or the last 50 pages in a book are always such a whirlwind, but these ones were like, it still felt like there was those pauses and those moments. And the ending I can't even say it, but it's like, I was just so happy with the ending. It was such a good book. After I finished the book, I did go on Goodreads and put my review in, and then I read some other people's reviews, and some of them said that this feels more of a YA book, and I can see that with the main character, Vis, being 17 years old. However, he's just been through so much that he acts so much older than he is. So I would say at best it's like new adult, but just due to like the conversations going on between the main character and everyone else. But the plot, the world building, I would say is adult. So yeah, we've officially reached a 5-star, finally. It took about a month because it's the middle of July now. So it took a month, and that's really sad because my last one was in March. So I want more 5 stars, and I think at least the books that I'm reading now are gonna be, one is definitely a potential 5-star, but I hit a 5-star, therefore it's the end of this vlog. And I'm so happy to be finally back on Booktube. So I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.